Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Thursday night, which means it is the night of regularly scheduled hostilities. That is right, guys. It is Thursday night, which means it is regularly scheduled hostilities with your host, Chuck Winchester, the future RSH champion.
Let's not lie to our guest.
Yvonne DeBoard and the current RSH champion, Josh DeBoard, and a very, very special guest from the Angle podcast, Mr. Joey Karni. What is going on, brother? Thank you so much for being part of the show tonight.
Thanks for having me. And by the way, that intro video, that was freaking awesome. Hype me up. I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me on.
Heck yeah, man. So full disclosure, we didn't create it. It was made by the Buzz's own Archie from the Between the Pipes podcast.
Yeah, he covers cold soccer, so it's cool.
Yeah, we appreciate it, brother. So again, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear your takes on professional wrestling. So I've heard all of Josh's. I'm kind of over it, so I'm excited to hear a fresh face.
We're both sick of Josh's takes.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk wrestling.
Absolutely, man. So real quick before we get into that, man, so tell us about your show a little bit. When you're on, how do we find you, and what's your show all about, man?
Of course. So again, Joey Karni, the Angle podcast, professional wrestling podcast. I like to label it as the ultimate pro wrestling podcast, although there are many, such as you guys. But really, I like to just give a different perspective on professional wrestling, not necessarily the fans' perspective, but also maybe like a backstage perspective, just because I've been around it since I can remember. So being around it that much, you have a different, I guess, mindset than the average fan would. So I like to kind of combine both and give a different perspective. I also do a lot of interviews too. Recently, I just had Tyson Kidd, Ryback, and I have some fun stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited to talk wrestling. And if you want to check out the show, it's the Angle Radio on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's called the Angle Podcast, but the label is the Angle Radio on all social media platforms. So
awesome, man. That sounds phenomenal. Yeah, it's always really fun. So you said you have some background. Like, what's your background in professional wrestling?
Not necessarily background in professional wrestling, but because I've been around it since I was 3 years old. I was introduced to it when I was 3, and now that I'm 28, I've never taken a break from it. It's just been something in my life that's been constant this entire time. So just being obsessed with it, I guess, and being so passionate about it, you just kind of get a different, I don't know, you kind of develop a sort of like a backstage thing where you can kind of predict what's going to happen, and just different, I don't know, just different aspects where the typical fan who watches on Monday or Friday wouldn't necessarily, have that I guess that knowledge, the historian kind of thing.
Absolutely. And that's what we do. We're the same way. We've been watching since I was, I think, 11.
I was 6.
There you go. So I'm glad to have you on, and let's get right into it. Let's get started. So Joshua, start us off here.
All right. Well, first, Manscaped.
Oh, that's right.
Business before pleasure, my friend.
It is business before pleasure. And again, this show is supported by manscaped.com, where you can get all of your best men's grooming products, including the Lawnmower 3.0 with a flashlight. So Joshua, Yvonne, the flashlight's on. You can see that, right?
I can hear it vibrating.
What is your new Happy New Year routine from manscaped.com? Have you started with your routine yet? You're getting your trimmed up here? You're getting your trim down there? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good.
I mean, you're good.
I'm good right now.
Are you showing it off? Are you using
I think that's frowned upon.
I'll be showing it off. We're unrated.
Yeah,
we're unrestricted.
We're very restricted. We'll probably be in lockdown in a week. So we're going to be more restricted than ever.
Well, so you may not have a reason to be professionally men's groom here in Lockdown 2.0, but when you have the Lawnmower 3.0, you will want to be professionally groomed because of the amazing 7,000 RPMs in this bad boy. I'm telling you, Manscaped 3.0, once you start driving, you won't stop.
Yeah, it's good. My beard's been lined up correctly for a while now, which is new.
It's nice.
But as always, 20% off, promo code RSH2020. It's at the bottom of the screen. Check out this promo from Manscaped.
But again, guys, go to manscaped.com. Use promo code RSH2020, and you will get your free shipping, 20% off for all Manscaped products. It's a great deal. You don't want to miss it. And you will be well groomed going forward, and the ladies love it. I'm married. I would know.
That's fair. I'm not. I don't have ladies. I don't know. But anyway, segue into something that I do know a little bit about. So, Joey, which show out of the WWE's big three do you prefer right now?
Typically I choose NXT every week. But lately, over the last few months, I could say SmackDown has really been stepping it up with the whole Roman angle that they have going on there. And there's a lot of different things that they're doing. They're bringing talent that we normally don't see, I believe, kind of showcasing them this week. For example, we saw Shinsuke Nakamura. We're seeing more from Chad Gable. We're seeing main event Uso, so there's other things that we're seeing where on the Monday Night Raw, it's kind of stale in my opinion. But I think out of the three, it goes between NXT and SmackDown.
I agree.
That's mine. It's
That's
NXT, SmackDown, and Raw.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, SmackDown has consistently been between the two Raw and SmackDown, the two main shows or whatever. SmackDown has been the best show for years.
I think the flagship changed.
It absolutely has.
And rating-wise as well.
Yes.
Any way you want to look at it. They're hitting a
Yes.
bigger demo on Fridays, which is, you would think Friday nights, which I know we're in like lockdown around the world. So, but in the normal world, Fridays wouldn't be a night you'd think wrestling would pop. People are out
That's
doing
true.
stuff, but right now they're not.
Yeah, it's true.
And Monday nights, people are at home pissed off because they have to work 4 more days.
Mhm.
So that's why Monday nights
Beginning and
normally
end,
did so
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. SmackDown out of those two for sure, since I don't know why WWE wants to keep NXT like under the rug and not
They do.
mention it in the same
McMahon.
breath as
Yeah.
Raw and SmackDown, even though most of the top stars they have, like Roman Reigns, Andrew McIntyre, came from NXT.
Well, it's not, Drew McIntyre did not come from NXT.
He was in NXT.
He came from WWE.
He was in FCW.
in 2004.
FCW, which is NXT now. Listen,
Oh,
leave Drew out of this. We'll get to him in a minute.
You brought it up.
Benison
What's up,
and
Benison?
Joe from Working
and
Fans.
Joe.
All right, so let's jump into SmackDown because there was a gauntlet match announced, and Shinsuke looked like he was about to win.
Mhm.
And then Roman came out, beat the living hell out of Shinsuke, and then Adam Pearce is the number one contender
I'm still shocked.
for the world,
Yeah.
for the
it's-
universe. That's the Universal Championship. So, Joey, you're the guest. We'll start with you. So, what was your thoughts on this angle, and does this work for you? A lot of people are complaining, which they always do, but I actually feel it's a pretty good angle.
When it first happened, because I like to live tweet the show, so some of my tweets get really, really like you can feel my anger coming out, and I was kind of angry when this happened because it's not what you would expect for the Royal Rumble, one of the top pay-per-views of the year, and especially with having on the Raw side of things, we're having a sort of similar main event title match with Goldberg. So there was really, for me, no world title match to look forward to for that pay-per-view. I kind of just left it alone and was just like, all right, I'll just focus on the Royal Rumble for both the men's and women's side. But this match has the potential to steal the show in the sense that Adam Pearce does have a lot of experience in the ring. He's a 5-time NWA World Champion. Just because the WWE fans know him as Adam Pearce, that backstage kind of authority figure, doesn't mean that's what he's always been. So before we jump to the assumption that it's going to be like a crappy main event, we need to take some time and see, oh, you know what? This guy actually had an illustrious career before this role in WWE. It could be a really great match.
I listened to him on After the Bell with Corey Graves, where he kind of talked about in depth his NWA and coming up, and he always wanted to be that main event guy in WWE, but never. He said I just never was good enough. So now I like how they're playing with that in the storyline because that's how he really felt, which realism brings out the best in each storyline.
Yep, absolutely. And he's one of those guys. I know nothing about Adam Pearce, by the way. I don't watch indie stuff. I don't listen to podcasts outside of
Me either.
RSH and, of course, the Angle podcast. But I don't know much about Adam Pearce, his history. So, but obviously, when he's only been on stage or in the background scenes for how long now?
Yeah, he's
This
been
past year.
I think he's been backstage for a while, but he hasn't been on screen. He's
Right,
been on
sure.
screen for like a
So
year.
he's only on screen
about a year.
this year, right? So obviously he's a fit looking dude, so they're going to build towards something. It's just
Yeah.
never when. Well, now is when. So it's fun to watch that go down. And like you guys have already said, as an on-screen watcher of Raw and SmackDown only, us fans don't know what he's capable of, and clearly, storyline-wise, neither does Roman Reigns or Jey Uso. So he's definitely going to surprise those guys, probably whoop Roman Reigns' ass a little bit. Clearly, he's going to lose. We all know that. That's fine. But it's going to be a fun thing to watch go down. And obviously, too, it's his opportunity to show WWE that he can be an in-ring performer going forward, which is what his goal, I'm sure, is anyway. So it's fun.
It's a nice twist because I didn't watch SmackDown live. So I woke up Saturday and I get on Twitter. So I got spoiled. And it's like Scrap Daddy versus Roman Reigns at Rumble. I was like, wait. What the hell did I miss last night? It completely caught me off guard. Then I watched it Saturday afternoon, and I was like, "This angle makes." Because at first, I'm like, initially, like, "This is so fucking stupid," and then I watched it, and I was like, "This makes so much sense." Because he's pissed at Pearce for giving KO another match, so I knew something was going to happen. I didn't think this is where they'd go. Yvonne, what did you think about it?
I didn't like it at first. I'm not really an Adam Pearce fan. He drives me crazy every week with his decision making that he makes. He's funny, but his decision making sometimes drives me nuts. But like Josh said, it makes sense.
She's still bitter. So Joey, some context with her. She's still pissed off because she's a Randy Orton fan, and Pearce has always been a thorn in Randy's ass. So anything he does or says, she's not going to agree with because of her love for Randy Orton.
No, it ain't just that.
Yes, it is.
No, it's just that has a lot to do with this.
Yes, it does. I remember he
how he does the women's stuff on Raw is terrible.
The women's things on Raw.
It could be better if he could make it.
So what do you guys think here? This is another question I've been seeing around the Twitterverse here lately with Adam Pearce. He's kind of the GM of both shows, unannounced, you know?
Yeah.
So do you guys, with his performance, think that they should bring back GMs for Raw and or SmackDown?
I think they do.
Is that what Sonya's role is now?
I think
she's a co-GM with him.
I think she is, yeah.
There's something along those lines. I think they're waiting to bring her back. This is their way of just kind of doing a slow build to her going back into the ring. They just want to, because remember, in the summer, she was technically, I guess, fired for losing that match. She had to lose. She had to leave. So I guess this is their way of bringing her back, but not in the sense of she kind of makes the decisions when she wants to come back. So if they put her in this role, let her earn her shot back in the ring and kind of, go from there. That's what I think, at least.
I think authority figures are missed because as much as we complain about the authority, it made it mean more. Like
it's the structure to the show with the authority.
Like Vince is calling the shots, but like right now we just know Vince is booking the show. Yep. I'd have Samoa Joe as Raw until he can come back healthy, or if he can't come back healthy, then let him be the GM. He's fantastic at commentary, and I'll miss him there. But they could replace him there. I'd have Joe be the authority figure because he's not going to be one to back down from anybody. Neither would Sonya.
No, neither would Sonya. No.
I think it really needs GMs.
They really do.
The best one of all time, in my humble opinion, is of course
the laptop.
Right. I was saying Bischoff, but the laptop's the second place.
Theodore Long was a great gentleman.
The laptop is more open than 90% of their roster.
That's fair.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's sad, honestly. It's really sad.
And it organically got over. Because of Michael Cole.
Yeah.
I just received an email from the anonymous general manager. That's what.
Do you remember how bad that year was when they had the celebrity GM every week?
Oh yeah.
I drank a lot.
That ruined it for me. It was a small point where it was unbearable to watch.
It really was. Yeah. That was the first time that I almost stopped watching Wrestling Weekly ever.
Yeah. We had that thing with Mr. McMahon where he would give away money or something like that. The money challenge, or remember, and the whole set fell on him.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Giving away money with this celebrity. I don't know what he was doing.
I don't think he does either.
Died on screen many times.
They definitely.
I remember when he got in that car and exploded, then he was on back next week.
Well, that's the Griffin Wall situation, but anyway.
Hey, he still shouldn't have had a break kayfabe.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway.
They definitely need general managers back.
But yeah, I agree.
To be more organized and structured, the show would probably run better and not be better.
Without having GMs, I feel like the shows are too scheduled, where things are just flowing naturally. Where to the fans, they think there must be a sheet backstage where everybody reads it and they just go do their job. But having GMs kind of makes it interesting and brings out I don't know. Look why Teddy Long is so popular, because he'd come out and make tag team matches because they weren't scheduled. They were getting something unexpected. So I think a GM definitely could bring that aspect back.
I absolutely agree with that. That's because it's the excitement, it's the unknown of what's happening next. It looks like it's going to go this way, and then but this happens.
Yeah. Teddy Long, I still can't get over when he tried to have Miz and Morrison fight the Undertaker.
That was pretty
funny. I laughing.
The look on their face is like.
Adam Pearce is like, dude, no. He's like, oh my bad. A tag team match then. It's like it's too. Yeah, GMs are crucial, and hopefully that's something they can bring back. Looks like Sonya. It's the thing like you guys said with SmackDown earlier. Sonya, that fits. Like you're gonna kind of have a GM kind of partnership, at least right now, between her and Pearce. Roddy's the same damn thing. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that's active that I would like to see in that role.
I hate to cut you guys off, but real quick, to you, sir. So we've talked about this before. Do you think that Sonya has the opportunity, or has the personality, or has the persona that could make her the next Becky Lynch? Because in my opinion, she is the next Becky Lynch if given the right opportunities.
You know what? When she first, I guess last year or so, when she was with Mandy, I was a fan of her, but I guess the reason being that I wasn't so high on her is because just the way they were booking her. It was like she was here, and then like 3 weeks later she'd have a match, and it was like they're always losing and whatnot. When I saw her come back a few weeks ago and just walk through the back, I got chills watching it.
Oh yeah,
I didn't expect it, and I saw everybody's reaction and the way she presented herself. I was like, wow, she's walking like you said, Becky. She's walking like the man. So I definitely can see that happening. Immediately, my first reaction was maybe she's going to win the Royal Rumble. That was my first instinct. But now that she's in some sort of authority role, I don't think she'll even be in it.
Nah, probably not. I agree with that.
That women's Royal Rumble, we'll get to that here in a little bit. That one's impossible to predict right now. There's like 6 that I can see winning it logically. And there's like 10 I can think winning it. I also think Goldberg could win the Women's Royal Rumble.
Don't ruin the women's.
She could win the men's Royal Rumble.
She could win all of them. Every match she wanted.
All right, but sticking to the Adam Pearce thing. So Shinsuke kind of got the shit end of the stick at the end, right? Do you guys think – actually, it's kind of a 2-part question. So do you guys think Pearce will make it to the Rumble as the actual challenger? And if not –
we're still 2 weeks away, right? We got a lot.
It's the 31st.
31st.
So we got 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
You guys start with Joey again. Do you think he'll make it? And if not, who do you think would take his spot? Possibly Kevin Owens again?
I think he's going to make it to the Rumble. But we also have to remember, Adam Pearce is an authority figure. So he can change whatever he wants when he wants. And I think this storyline is really to make him fall in or realize the power he actually does have. Because usually when we see him, he's being pushed around by people on Raw or SmackDown. So I think this role being put into a corner by Roman, now we're going to see Adam Pearce come out, really be an authority figure, stand up for himself, and maybe even see like bring KO into the match at the Royal Rumble or try to bring in help to have him win. But I don't think he's going to win, to be honest with you. This match is just to set up something for WrestleMania for Roman. We know that. But I definitely think it's going to come really, really close because people are not expecting it to be, which is why it's going to happen that way. So I think he's going to bring out KO. He's going to bring out, I don't know who else, someone else to help him. But we also have to think too, like I said, Adam Pearce is the authority figure here. So he is actually going to be in control at the Royal Rumble.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Like you said, we all know Roman Reigns isn't winning. This is just passing time until WrestleMania.
Yep. Exactly.
But I'm sorry, I said it the wrong way. We all know Roman Reigns is winning.
I was going to say that title ain't going nowhere.
It's an opportunity, I think, for Adam Pearce to see him in the ring for the first time on WWE television, as far as I know. And that's a good idea to make him have a backbone. I dig that.
Did you see him sell that super kick?
Yeah.
He just taught everybody how to old school sell a move. He sold it. He collapsed. Like Bully Ray pointed out and busted open. He's like, that's how you sell.
Yeah.
Kids. Yeah. Current roster people, watch Adam Pearce. That's the best sell he said he's seen in over a year.
Dude's got it. I think WWE has a thing against bald people other than Stone Cold Steve.
Probably.
Because all the bald people are no longer main eventers like they used to be. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Lashley's coming.
Lashley's coming.
All right, Yvonne, you think he makes it?
He's going to make it to the Rumble, but we all know he's not going to win it. Just like Joey said, it's going to be set up for KO to come back and get involved. I think Shinsuke is going to get involved and come help with KO. Or heck, Pearce could win. I don't think he will, but I think KO.
That'd be a crazy storyline.
Why not? And then Roman complains, and but I think KO and Shinsuke. I think Shinsuke is going to get involved in this.
Dude,
definitely.
I didn't realize this. Is it arguable that they just turned Shinsuke into a good guy?
They did. And he's
him and Daniel Bryan just tore it up. They shook hands. He got his ass beat by the biggest. He got his ass kicked by the biggest heel in the company, arguably. He is the bit. It's him or Orton, but if we had fans, I still feel like Roman would get cheered because he's going to get to the point where he's so good at being bad, he's going to get cheered.
He's been in business for 20 years. He's just going to get cheered right now.
But which segues into my next question. Joey, do you think there's a chance that Shinsuke gets the KofiMania treatment? Because this is kind of how it started with Kofi.
Yeah. So before that gauntlet match even started, I remember the time being it was 9:13 p.m. And I'm like, all right, we're going to get about an hour of this match. So we're going to expect some great stuff. And I actually put out a tweet about it. And I said, this match is not only to determine who is going to be facing Roman at the Royal Rumble. This can potentially be who Roman's going to get at WrestleMania, because we saw last year this exact kind of moment is what made KofiMania happen, besides Ali getting injured, of course. But this moment for Kofi, him lasting that whole time, really impressing people, making KofiMania, that's what became that WrestleMania moment. So not only are they looking for the Royal Rumble opponent for Roman, but they're looking for someone who could step up for Mania. And at the end of the night, we were all talking about Shinsuke Nakamura. And I actually tweeted out, I said in about 35, 40 minutes, they made an irrelevant star in WWE the most talked about person. Everyone's talking about Shinsuke right now, still, almost a week later.
Yeah, he's fighting
30 minutes in the ring. They reversed everything. 2 years of bad booking.
Yeah, even when him and AJ Styles were together, that was terrible booking. That should have been so much more than it was.
That was a WrestleMania match main event, and it was that bad.
Two of the best in the world, and the booking was terrible. So tomorrow, Shinsuke's got Jey Uso, which I'm assuming is going to be main event, which makes me believe they're going to ride this Shinsuke thing for a while. My fear was that it was a one-off. Like, oh, yeah, they just use Shinsuke to sacrifice or whatever. Hopefully tomorrow they just keep building with it, because Shinsuke's way underused, just like Cesaro. Those are two guys that you really need to use on SmackDown, because their roster isn't very top-heavy.
Well, Joey said that we're still talking about Shinsuke a week later, so theoretically, if Vince pays attention to the interwebs, we should be all right.
You could turn, the easiest way to turn him babyface again, change his fucking music back to where the fans can chant. And if there's fans at WrestleMania, even if there's a couple, they're going to sing along with that song.
Get rid of that rap shit.
Remember, because he put that part in when he went heel, so they couldn't sing. You have him come out, get a few clean attacks on Roman. You can have Cesaro help him. That's his tag team partner, right? And
right.
For now.
Are they still a tag team? And if so, is he faced by default?
He tweeted out, "Hey, that's my damn partner."
He did.
We got attacked, so he's still.
I definitely think he's gonna make his way out tomorrow to help Shinsuke, because you obviously know Shinsuke versus Jey Uso, someone's gonna be beating down Shinsuke, whether it's Roman or we see the other Uso return. So I think Cesaro is gonna be making that save on Shinsuke. But who knows? This whole thing could have been just to turn Shinsuke and Cesaro face. That could literally all be.
Dude, how amazing would it be if this was done to give both of them the push that they've been waiting, especially Cesaro. I mean, Nakamura's had a world title opportunity. Cesaro hasn't had anything. We've said for years, I don't know how many years that we've sat in this house complaining about Cesaro's use.
Yeah, exactly.
In my apartment, and your apartment, and your old house.
Yeah, like 6 different houses. Like we were talking to Tyson Kidd about this the first time we talked to him, and we were like, is he just going to lose his mind with impatience? And he was like, listen, man. And he told the story about when he requested a match, I forget exactly with who, and they're like, yeah, maybe. And then they changed it. And they put him in a Money in the Bank qualifying match instead.
Yep. He told me the story.
Holy shit. He's like, holy shit, I had no idea this was going to happen. So, like, he said maybe Cesaro's going to have his KofiMania moment at some point. And this could be the start of that as well, because the men's Royal Rumble, we thought Goldberg was going to win. But then he chat and fight Roman. That's what we initially thought after the bump whole thing or whatever. Now Goldberg's fighting Drew, so Goldberg's out of the Rumble. So like Daniel Bryan, I guess, is the favorite at this point, because they're pushing the whole he wants to win it before he goes out kind of thing. Big E's a hot name. Brock is trending again.
No.
We hope
Lashley,
No.
I would love to see Lashley win it. Him and Drew's already fought. Unless they do Lashley Goldberg, then Drew would be lost.
Lashley's a champion. Just because he's already the U.S. champion, I don't see him winning. That's just not how it goes.
Yeah, the same thing goes for Big E too. I believe that too. Like they just put the IC title on Big E. I don't think they're gonna see him unless we do like another like Ultimate Warrior type thing where he's it's title for title at WrestleMania, which would actually help the Intercontinental Championship. But I don't think they're gonna go that route. I have two people who I think honestly can win that Rumble. It's either Keith Lee or Brock Lesnar. Those are my two.
Chuck is a huge Brock Lesnar fan.
So listen, I really would be on board with Keith Lee winning the Royal Rumble all day, every day by himself. Yeah. But if Brock Lesnar wins the fucking Royal Rumble, I will throw something. I will fucking throw something.
You have a Brock party shirt.
Nobody likes Lesnar.
Listen, if Brock can win the Royal Rumble, just think about how interesting this match would be at WrestleMania. Brock wins the Royal Rumble, goes on to face Roman. Heyman's stuck in the middle somewhere, and maybe we see like Heyman turn on Lesnar, and he stays with Roman, or this is how Roman goes back to being a face. Heyman turns on Reigns and goes back with Lesnar. Lesnar holds the title. It's an all new thing. Even though we've seen this match like 5 times at WrestleMania, this would be an awesome way, I think, to kind of like rejuvenate it.
I would do Brock, Roman with Paul Heyman as a special guest referee.
There you go.
There we go.
They don't do special guest referee matches ever anymore.
They don't.
You put the guy in the middle, and you have Brock threaten him for a month. You have Roman, I'll beat your ass, Paul. And then what's Paul Heyman going to do? That's intriguing.
That is.
I mean, I don't think Roman Reigns has ever been this lethal in the past either.
No.
So he's a legit competitor against Brock Lesnar. And what you said that, Joey, that is a great setup and a great storyline. But the fact that we all know if Brock Lesnar wins, he ain't coming back until fucking SummerSlam. So I have no desire.
That's Brock Lesnar's schedule. He's never.
Well, maybe he'll get stuck in Florida and can't leave, and he'll have to show up.
That's fair. Now that's actually I would be okay with that. I think I'm not a big Brock Lesnar fan, but I will say
my mind automatically went to him fighting Drew for some reason. I didn't even think about the SmackDown side.
That's exactly correct.
But I'm interested to see what they do with Drew. This is the one Rumble. I don't really know what their plans are because we'll segue into.
But real quick, but what that's set up too. That means potentially, we could have fucking Goldberg and Brock Lesnar both main eventing the title pictures at WrestleMania in 2021, and that makes me really sad as a human being.
The Brock Lesnar part doesn't. The Goldberg part does. At least Brock Lesnar puts people over.
He does. I mean, when you compare those two, I'm definitely a Brock Lesnar guy.
Because Brock just, Drew's been one of the hottest things because of Brock. That Royal Rumble moment.
Real quick, Joey, do you like Goldberg?
I don't, unfortunately.
Right. We don't.
Not anymore. You know what? I liked him when he came back and did the whole thing with Lesnar.
Sure.
Awesome.
Survivor Series is good. Yep.
And honestly, I was really intrigued by the storyline he had going with Roman last year. The beginning of it was really like interesting. I was like, all right, they're getting each other's faces.
Yeah.
Something cool is happening. And then it kind of I fell off. I'm not really.
Yeah, I agree. If his Survivor Series match was a one-off, that would have been fantastic. His Reigns match last year could have been really good too. But that's it. That is it.
Yeah,
there's nothing else.
He about ruined the Fiend.
Yeah,
he destroyed Kevin Owens' full head of steam momentum he had after all that build. I know, no wonder Jericho was so pissed when he left. Yeah. Jericho literally put Owens at the highest Owens has been since the last month with the Festival of Friendship thing. We went to see it live when they teamed up and they fought Enzo and Cass in the main event because Enzo and Cass were super over. KO and Jericho were super over. And now one of those 4 is left, and he's just now getting back into the thick of it. And now my fear is, obviously, he's not going to win the storyline. Where does KO go next? Does he just get lost in the mid card with Sami Zayn and Big E, which should be fine?
I mean, it's fine. But he should.
That's typical. That's his typical place.
Right. But
we've seen it before. Plenty.
I blame Goldberg for that, and he about destroyed the Fiend's momentum in Saudi Arabia, which we literally just did a podcast. We used to, it's still Thursday, so we record Thursday night. The Saudi show here is at noon or whatever. Yeah. So it was over. So we seen the results. We watched the match before we went on the air, and we just called the podcast Goldberg. We sat there and just talked shit about Goldberg for 2 hours. That's what we did last week, but it was only 45
Well,
minutes.
he ruins everything. He really does.
Because when he came out and interrupted Drew, our assumption is he's winning the belt. Now that Drew has COVID, I think it heightens it a little bit more that Goldberg wins and Drew can. They're going to play this whole Drew overcame COVID.
Yeah,
lost it. That's going to be the reason he lost.
Mm-hmm.
Vince just found his way to give Goldberg the strap without.
It's kind of like when Brock Lesnar lost to John Cena back in 2012. Paul Heyman was like, well, he just had that one disease that he had.
Yeah, so like they can milk this COVID thing into a real storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Drew could win an Elimination Chamber. I don't know what they do with it. Do they make Roman? Normally they do like a number one contenders match in one and then like the titles in the other. Because one brand obviously don't know who the competitor is for Mania yet.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if like Drew has to come into the chamber, enter number one, go through Bray, Braun, Keith Lee, or whatever. Yep. That'd be a hell of a lineup also to go through. And then he has to go fight.
There is the idea too that Goldberg can beat Drew at the Royal Rumble for the title. And then Drew pulls a Becky Lynch and enters the Royal Rumble and wins it again.
Yeah. That could be fun.
Because really, there's not one person that we can say, okay, this is who's winning the Rumble. There's so many possibilities that could possibly be. You know, they do want Drew to win, have that big moment in front of a crowd, whether it's a Mania moment or whatever. So obviously there's no fans, but maybe they just want him. I mean, I don't know. I can't see Drew losing that title anytime soon. He's just too strong, especially coming off a win from Orton, reclaiming the title only a few weeks later. It just rejuvenated that whole thing. He could be champion for 3 years, and I don't think anybody would care.
That's fair. But Goldberg just lost at WrestleMania, and now he's back. So why would Goldberg come back just to lose at the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Honestly, I would think that what would make that interesting is set that match up, and Drew says, no, hell no, you're not facing me. And then Goldberg wins the Rumble and goes to face him at WrestleMania. Then you have something to work with. But either way, I'm not a fan of the match.
Yeah, and that still means Goldberg wins the Rumble, which pisses me off more than Brock Lesnar. Actually, the way you said it, man, I wouldn't be sad if Brock Lesnar came in and won the Rumble after the way you described that with him and Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. That could be fun.
The original plan is for Roman to not be a heel this whole time. It's only a short-term thing. I honestly think WWE's idea was, let's do what we did with Becky, turn him heel, and let him organically go back to being a face. That's honestly what I thought they were going to do with Roman. Because if there was fans there, like you said, if there was fans there, Roman would be cheered.
He would.
Yeah, I think he'd be cheered.
He would. Yeah.
It's a CM Punk, Daniel Bryan thing. Like CM Punk was so good, he got cheered. Daniel Bryan was so good with his fickle thing, they cheered him still.
But when Reigns was a face the first time, he got booed all the time.
Yeah, but they shoved him down our throat.
They did. Yeah.
Now he doesn't give a shit.
That was my phone. The way that they presented him, it was like he was like a superhero or something. And
John Cena.
More for the kids, and the adults. Obviously, if for the kids, let's boo him.
Right.
Now I think he's someone that everybody likes. So
he's finally got to the point to where he got to the point that Vince knew he could be 5 years ago. He just wanted to rush it, but now here we are 5 years later, and here we are.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of, every Monday night when I sit on my couch at 8 o'clock and I'm like, well, here I am, ready to be hurt again. 3 more hours of Raw. So let's segue over to Raw. So we kind of already touched on this a little bit. Yvonne, we'll start with you. We'll just kind of piggyback off what we were just talking about. So Drew obviously has COVID-19. I give WWE kudos for actually acknowledging it, because if you guys remember last year with Roman, they didn't even acknowledge that Roman was ever in the match. They were just like, oh, Braun Strowman's fighting Goldberg now. Cool. Have a great day. Yep. And they never acknowledged why, how, if, or whatever. Which I understand, because that's when this shit first hit the fan and they didn't want to like just say the word, which whatever. It's kind of drastic. But Yvonne, do you think, because we've kind of already touched on it, but we haven't heard from you, do you think Drew having COVID makes it more likely he loses or wins against Goldberg?
Well, I wouldn't want to see McIntyre lose, but when you hear that he has COVID, a lot of people is going to say he's going to lose. I think he may. This may change for me, but I don't want to see Drew lose. But like Chuck said, why would they bring Goldberg back for him to lose?
I assume Goldberg's sticking around till Mania would be their plan.
As much as we don't like it.
Which is why I feel like he's not going to lose. And the COVID thing just it has that heartwarming story that can
there's
pour
something behind
all
that.
over everybody's face for the next 2 months too.
So what I see with that is I see Goldberg beating Drew, and then Drew may enter the Rumble and win. And then
I want to see Drew like kick off like Drew Gulak's head. Like, dude, why are you even in this match? Like, get the hell out of here.
I like Drew Gulak. Don't be a hater.
Stop. He's a great trainer.
PowerPoint presentation. That's interesting.
That's awesome.
He topped out on 205 Live in the Zoe train.
No, only because Vince McMahon made him top out. He could have been a fucking phenom given the opportunity.
He could be the next Abraham Washington, where he does his segment in the middle of the ring.
Say what you will, he cracked me up.
Listen, he's not charismatic. He's not charismatic at all, but he can definitely pull off like a Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
He does.
He might be the next thing. His career's not over
And
yet.
he educates his people.
He's like,
I don't know why they didn't keep them as a tag team. That tag team,
yeah.
That was good.
I love them. I love them.
Matt Stryker and Daniel Bryan combined. He educates you and he's good in the ring. Like, I dig it. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Forgot about that.
All right, I think Goldberg's winning. I don't think there's a chance Drew wins.
There's a story behind this COVID. Why
The COVID thing-
They would address it. Normally
The
they
damn-
wouldn't.
I mean,
There's
obviously-
a story behind it.
Obviously, COVID. There's never a good time for it to happen, but Jesus, with Goldberg,
Mhm.
it's literally Vince doesn't have to write this one. It wrote itself for him right in front of his eyes. Like, he has COVID, he loses. I had COVID. Drew's gonna be like, I don't have no excuse. I'm a fighting champion. I lost. I'll earn it back. Whether he has to do it through chamber or, like Joey said, get back in the Rumble, I could see both happening. And I think for sure one of those will happen.
Listen, you can also do too. I mean, because COVID has such a negative connotation to the word because of everything that's happening. So WWE is not going to want to have their top strongest, one of their strongest champions, make it seem like he's going down, completely. So maybe he does beat Goldberg and shows that he did overcome it to kind of bring like a heartwarming feeling to the fans who know people who are affected by COVID and show them that they can beat it too. And that, you can overcome this. And maybe they do like some sort of like Drew beat COVID and now he's back to where he was. To kind of show that there's like a happy ending to COVID somehow.
If it was any other opponent than Goldberg, I would agree. But with it being Goldberg, I just don't see that happening.
Without Goldberg going and entering the Royal Rumble.
I mean, I just don't
Listen, if Goldberg does lose, are you guys going to be shocked? Is everyone going to be happy about it? Is everybody going to go crazy if Goldberg loses?
I'll be happy.
I'll do a shot. I'll do a shot.
I'll be happy.
I will be very happy because
It might be a big moment. So, it is a possibility that they bring in Goldberg to lose because we're not used to seeing it.
That's fair. That's a very
Yeah,
fair point.
based on his history, which we talked about last week,
Mhm.
he comes in and wins
He just wins.
right off the bat.
He did.
Listen, everyone's going to have the face like when the streak ended. Like, everyone's like, what happened?
Yeah.
I just want one clean bell rings Claymore. It's over.
1, 2, 3, done. Imagine that.
Like, because they've been pushing the hell out of the Claymore as like the finisher now.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be RKO. It's like Claymore, RKO, everything else.
Claymore is a badass.
Because Claymore
It is.
beat Orton clean multiple times, especially in that last rematch. That
Mhm.
match with him and Keith Lee was amazing, by the way. So
Good.
so much for Keith Lee being buried, having to go back there and tune up his skills a little bit. He looked really really good in the ring. There's times where he's thinking way too much. You can tell. He'll stop and look, and Drew's like, Drew like, come on, like.
He's still fresh. He's
But
young
yeah,
blood.
Keith Lee's going to be great, and I hope Joey's right. I hope he's one of the guys that either eliminate like 15 people or win the Rumble, because I think Keith Lee has a lot of potential
I would
going forward.
love for him to win the Rumble. I don't think he will, but I would love to see.
You know how to book him the best? He keeps losing. He gets sick of it. He joins the Hurt Business, and he ends up being the world champion in that stable with him and Lashley's US, and you have Shelton and Cedric kiss and make up, because they shouldn't be teasing splitting that
The
up
hottest
already.
group. Why I don't know why they would tease.
So I'd put him in the Hurt Business with MVP. I think that'd help him get over more.
Yeah.
And you can put the strap on him and actually ride the hell out of that group.
Speaking of MVP, poor Matt Riddle this past week.
Right?
Oh, yeah. It's sad.
That kick, I think, legit hurt.
That had to
I
hurt.
heard it and it hurt me. I'm hearing it.
You can see, like, I think, because if you were watching, like, Riddle's was like looked like he was really in pain.
Yeah.
And MVP was looking like, oh shit. Like,
I heard you.
MVP's one of the unsung heroes on Raw.
dude, he is really awesome.
Mhm, he is.
He's
I
done,
don't think anybody had a better year than he did in 2020.
Exactly.
I mean, him and Orton are both really had their best years in their careers
They
this
have.
year.
Yep.
It's
Think
crazy.
about it. MVP came back last year to be in the Rumble to show his kid.
Right.
That was the reasoning. And then he had a match the next night on Raw, and he jobbed to the 619. He messed up the whole move that Monday after. Became a producer, and then look at him now.
Yep.
He got a 5-year deal as a performer/producer, and he's gonna
barely even wrestling.
He just wrestled in a suit on Monday night. Like the dude is legit. This shit is legit.
I'm a big MVP guy. I was when he wrestled full time. He had one of the most memorable U.S. championship runs ever. He had one of the coolest entrances ever. He was organically over with the crowd. He could talk. He can wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's back. And I feel the damn fans, man. I feel like there's so many moments that happened this year because everybody, COVID's obviously terrible, but there's so many cool things that have happened in wrestling over the past year. Not just with WWE, it is NXT, like Karrion Kross. All this kind of stuff that's happening right now with Balor, Pat McAfee. Yeah, they have 1,000, 2,000 fans, but imagine the Rumble this year. We're probably not going to get many surprise entrants because there's no reason there's going to be no pop unless they pump in a lot of sound into the Thunderdome. Because I'm hoping Mania is the one where they get some live fans, which Vince obviously is going to go for the most he can possibly get. Yeah. And I know venue-wise, they're still negotiating because the one they're in, I think, runs out before Mania. So they still have one more obstacle to figure out before they even know where Mania is going to be.
Yeah.
So it's a lot up in the air still because I know they wanted fans at the Rumble, but reports are that they don't find it. Vince finds it's too much right now to try that with everything spiking. It's too much work.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it, especially with Drew McIntyre getting it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if your main guy
who else got it?
Right,
absolutely,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, and it's like with the AEW people coming out here lately, like, well, Jericho's like, I had it in September.
I saw that.
The Young Bucks.
I think it was Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson came out and said he had it too. And you know what? That kind of pushed me the wrong way. Hearing that now, because why wouldn't you announce it when it happened?
Right. Yeah. Why would you do that? Why would you go do that fucking concert that you did in fucking Montana or whatever? That my father
no masks and all that stuff. I don't know. I think WWE did the right thing by, saying, all right, our champion got COVID, just to show that this is how they're going to handle things.
Right. Yep. No, they're doing that the right way. WWE has handled the best way they can. Unlike AEW. Like, my father-in-law was at that same event that Jericho was at, and then he says he fucking had it. Like, what are you doing?
Like, seriously, right? No wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Bad publicity that way. I don't think that works.
I would agree. And that's one thing that WWE this past year, they've done a phenomenal job, I think, is they've done the best they can with what they've had. And
starting with Mania.
Yeah, they went all in. They have no audience, and they had a little bit of audience with their NXT guys, and they said, fuck that. And then now, I really don't mind the Thunderdome. I thought that idea was dumb, and the name I still think is silly. But on screen, it's so much more watchable than it was before it.
Yeah, and the pumped in crowd noise helps.
Yeah,
you could believe like it's coming from them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
exactly.
it works.
I don't think I'll ever forget the first Thunderdome event I did was SummerSlam, and I was a part of the virtual Thunderdome. I got into it, and I was really excited for it. And when I saw it happen on TV and watching the whole thing, it honestly brought me so much joy. I felt like things were almost normal again. Just because you have all the lights and you have all the different things happening and there's things distracting you, like there's a crowd there, not opposed to the performance center where there's just at first they had empty chairs sitting around the whole. I don't know. I really did like the Thunderdome. Now I'm just used to it.
Right.
I'm used to hearing the sound effects and seeing the different things. What I'm more focused on is having the actual stage, having the pyro, having the the lights. That for me makes the whole like big fight feel in the arena. What they did in the PC didn't really do it for me. I kind of felt like, why are they even doing this? It was kind of awkward.
Right.
But having the Thunderdome, I honestly I enjoy it, but it's also more of like settling because this is what we can have right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a show at the end of the day. So it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's all about special effects. And they did that. And sure, it took them a while to get there, but they did it. And I very
sure went into that. A lot of money.
Absolutely. That's what WWE has. You can say what you want about WWE, but their production value is 100% top notch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how they are. Always have been that way. Sometimes, even before COVID, I thought they were too produced. It looked too clean. It looked too HD. But
if you show anybody who's not a wrestling fan, bring someone who's not a wrestling fan and have them watch Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, and they're going to be wowed. Not from what they're watching in the ring, just the whole setup. Like, wow, virtual fans. Like, look at it. It looks like a real thing. That's kind of how I go about it too. Like, show anybody who doesn't normally watch it like we do and see their reaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
You're going to get the most organic reaction from it.
For sure.
Yeah. It'd be impressive.
All right, so we've talked about good. So we're going to get to indifferent here in a second. Before we do, the Buzz's social media accounts are growing by the day. Thanks to everybody that supports us. Check out the promo, which has all of our social medias on it, and we will be right back to talk about the bad parts of Monday Night Raw.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I'd go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now.
We are a necessity. So
We
come
are.
check us out.
We
now.
are.
We're also, in about a week, we'll probably be essential as well. So, Jesus.
Truth.
Somebody who's not essential, and Joey, I'm interested to get your take on this because to me, he's the most underused person in my opinion in WWE, and it's Elias. And he lost to Jeff Hardy for like the 57th straight time on Monday Night Raw again. They switched it up a little bit, I guess, because Jackson Riker won his match. I don't know. I'm getting very frustrated with the Elias booking.
Real quick, Joey, real quick. I want you, he's downplaying it. He's not only a fan of Elias, he has life-size cutout of Elias in his bedroom.
Wait, you actually walk with Elias?
Literally.
He has a picture of it with
Hey.
hearts and everything. He put it on
That
Twitter.
was
and
a
Elias liked
that was a Snapchat filter, and Elias retweeted
It
it,
is.
so it's fine.
It's on.
If you're gonna walk with him, at least you gotta be socially distanced. That's the only thing that
Hey, it's a standee.
He's a diehard
It's
Elias.
WWE shop certified. It's
He's
fine.
a diehard Elias and
Yeah.
Fiend.
I got all of his shirts. Same with Bray. I don't have the cutout though. That scared me to death. Waking up in the middle of the night, being the Fiend chilling in my living room.
Gosh.
But I did dress up as him for Halloween at Chuck's Halloween party.
badass.
It was funny because it was the day after he won the title from Seth in Saudi, and I actually have
Happened to have.
I have the red Universal title, so it
Mhm.
just happened to work out. I could carry that belt and be the Fiend, so it all just
Yeah,
worked
it
out.
did.
Then a month later, he lost to fucking Goldberg. So short-lived. But
did you see
the real question is, has the Fiend overcome, you think, the whole thing with Goldberg now, like where he is now with Orton?
Yeah, he's overcome it, but it's still a stain because
Still
here we are
gonna be a stain.
and we're talking about it. So
Yeah.
it's a stain, but
Mhm.
he's not buried, but it still sucks. Like it could be.
Oh, Bray.
Yeah.
He's not. Vince got too excited with him. Like it ruined Seth because Seth. He shouldn't have put him up against Seth that quick. He was like, "Oh, a shiny new toy. This thing works. Must put it in the title picture." It's like, no, you don't have to.
He shouldn't have been anywhere near the title, in my opinion.
And
Absolutely.
he should stay. And they've done a really good job, I think. Even though I still find it funny that they created a pay-per-view a week after a pay-per-view just for Roman to win the belt. Like that's
Yeah.
solely the reason they created that pay-per-view. They booked it to where Bray didn't get pinned. Poor Braun Strowman got pinned again.
Yep.
And Bray came out squeaky clean out of that. It doesn't hurt him. And now he has this, I think at WrestleMania, so since we're not going to get The Rock, so we'll probably get Bray and Rock in 2022.
Bray and Rock?
No, Rock, my bad.
Roman
I
and
did
Rock.
what I said.
I got
Roman
it.
and Rock. And then, Denise, it's on my Facebook. Trust me, there's tons. There's one with Chuck. He's dressed as Quail Man from Doug as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's pictures of that.
Some, as Dave LeGrick always says, Daddy Sodas was getting popped that night.
Yeah.
A lot of I'll wait. But yeah, it hurt Bray a little bit. The Goldberg thing was a stain, and it's because he just got beat so easy after being like indestructible with Seth. Like they buried him under a bunch of stuff, hit him in the head with a sledgehammer. They stopped. Like Vince
25
was
stomps.
too excited. But I think,
It's like a sideways. It's not even a full move. Like
Yeah.
Goldberg barely picked him up. Like,
but I thought initially long-term storytelling, you could get Roman versus Bray down the line,
Yeah.
and kind of revisit this because Roman just came back, took the belt, and took off his own way. Fiend went to Raw, Roman went to SmackDown, never to be seen again. So Bray can go back to Firefly Funhouse and revisit that later, and that's a big money match for hell, maybe the SummerSlam after this one now, because I assume Roman just keeps the belt for a while, then fights The Rock next year.
Yeah.
but do we really think that Reigns will hold on to it for a whole nother year?
I wouldn't put it. He might lose it, but he'll have it back.
That makes sense. Lose it.
Or
I
have-
don't doubt it. I think he'll hold on to it at least to WrestleMania next year.
They would want him to be as strong as possible, right?
I mean, theoretically, they might even want him to beat CM Punk's reign because CM Punk had it for so long.
Get that saying. So Yvonne's a big CM Punk guy.
I used to be.
You're not no more?
No, not.
Yeah, straight edge anymore?
No, definitely not. I have more CM Punk shirts than anybody else's, so that's crazy.
All right, so Bakley said, I heard Elias is getting booked this way because he likes to pitch too many ideas for his character. I don't know. I haven't seen that report. I know I've read he's very hands-on with his character.
Yeah.
He's very motivated, which you'd think would be a good
thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you would think, but we have heard that Vince McMahon likes shit his way. If he says it, it's done, and don't ask
he
questions.
has 2 records that went top 5 on iTunes.
Vince don't care about that. If Vince didn't fucking sing it, he doesn't care.
No, Vince don't care.
I might be wrong.
He's got a rock star. You think Judas is hot?
Dude,
For sure, good things.
He ain't got nothing on Universal Truth.
I said,
Elias can be, even as a face or a heel, he's got the Rock's charisma. I don't care what anybody says. The guy is charismatic as all hell.
Absolutely.
You know, if he wasn't, they wouldn't have put him in the ring with Cena at WrestleMania. They wouldn't have put him in the ring after the day after WrestleMania with The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in a lot of big moments, although he's getting buried in those moments, in that moment being buried, but over the whole period of his career, there have been times where they were going to use him for something. And I honestly thought that the last face run he had, I thought he was going to go somewhere, not 24/7 championship, but
right.
he's an interesting character and he gets a lot of hate for it, but he's really good in the ring. I don't care what anybody says. He's got a great moveset. He can go in the ring. I don't know what the whole problem is. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why he's with Jackson Riker either. I think that is a whole other podcast episode. I don't think Jackson Riker should be anywhere near Elias.
It's the beard. Like, I feel like Vince was like, well, he has a beard. He looks rugged. This guy looks rugged. Let's throw them together. Oh, that's such good shit. They'll look good. They look good together.
Something's up.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Well, it's like we're going to put these 2 with Corbin. What do we do with this other guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, Elias needs a lackey.
That's exactly what it was.
The guy who they were punishing gets a better spot on the card than the other 2 guys that did absolutely nothing and can work their asses off.
Right.
And
Everyone,
project, who knows?
It doesn't make sense.
I mean, Elias could be the next big thing. Like you said, he has the Rock's charisma. That kind of charisma is not that common. So, he could be a huge thing. People love him. Everybody fucking loves him.
Yep.
So what's the disconnect?
Vince.
I don't know why they don't put like a tag team with him and make them like the band or something. Call them like a band kind of stable where Elias is the lead singer and they have the whole band. They don't actually play, but just label them as that, and kind of like what Corbin has on SmackDown. And you could build him around the United States Championship or some. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of room for Elias because he's so. He can just adapt to any situation. I mean, he's been everywhere on the card.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
The Seattle
NXT too. He's been everywhere.
Yeah, the Supersonic where they were in Seattle with him and KO, and he got that natural heat where he got booed to where they couldn't talk for 5 minutes. That's the kind of
that is true.
That's the kind of heat Elias can get. He's like, just like your basketball team, and they're just like, fuck you, dude, because they moved him to Oklahoma City.
That just doesn't happen with everybody. The fact that he could
that's natural organic heat.
It is,
and he could get it no matter who. He'd come out and sing about people. That shit wored.
He does.
You don't believe me? The Doctor of Thugonomics worked fine.
Exactly. That's what got John Cena over.
Like he came out talking shit. That's what they in AEW. I don't know their names. They got a new tag team. They're coming out rapping every week. It's corny. It's stupid. The Young Bucks actually has been like, hey, that gimmick's been done before, and it's like
boombox. 2021, they're coming out with a boombox.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting, but it'll click because it's memorable and people remember it.
Elias had a
conversation. Oh, sorry.
You're fine. Elias had a great match with Styles too.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the start of something. Then he
Styles-
loses Styles back-to-back weeks. Now
A
he's back to
top
losing
star.
Jeff Hardy again.
I mean, Elias has so much potential, so much to be booked better than he is.
I had a conversation with a friend actually about Elias a few weeks ago, and it's a friend that doesn't really know much about wrestling. So he's like, what's the best way to describe Elias? And I said, the best person I can relate to Elias is Mr. Kennedy. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but he's the charisma, and just the booking is just like, this guy could be main event material. Why are they not, putting him to the next level? Why is he always going to be in this position? I don't know.
That's fair. The thing with Mr. Kennedy, from what I read about on the internet, so it must be true, is I heard his ego got in the way a lot of times. With
you can see it on screen too.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't know if Elias, he just pitches. I don't know if he's like an arrogant prick. Like, Vince, this is better than yours.
I don't see that, but like you could see Kennedy. Yeah, he's a dick. Sure.
You can tell.
But with Elias, he just doesn't come across that way from what I can. I never met the guy, but from what I can see, he just looks legit. Like, yeah, it's different.
Again, if they wouldn't book him with these big names like Cena and Undertaker, if he was horrible in the ring, if he was bad to work with, if there was really no idea for his booking, he wouldn't be working with that talent. So there at one point there was somebody behind him, and WWE creative, they just drop stuff sometimes. So it could be that too.
Sure.
Now we're going to segue to Yvonne's specialty because her specialty is the women's division.
Yep.
This is
Women's Insider.
my personal favorite. Charlotte Flair is involved in a very interesting storyline on Raw. It involves her dad.
And Lacey says she's going to push hotels for Ric
Lacey
Flair.
Evans,
That's exciting.
Yeah,
this
and
is interesting.
so Yvonne, I don't really know what's up with Asuka. They said she was backstage. I don't know if she's somebody that could have been affected by COVID or whatever. Because I don't want to speculate why they're not on screen and be like, oh my God, they didn't put Asuka on the title. I feel like there's probably a reason because they had people fight 2 or 3 matches all night long. So I feel like if they could have got her on the card, they probably would have.
Yeah.
Unless I read something contrary to that, I'll believe that. But what do you think of this new mid-card feud for Charlotte, which sounds weird to say because she's normally, I'm back. I'm the champion again.
That's different for Charlotte. She's not used to being in that. No. It's weird. Looks like they're going for her and Lacey to fight. Now they have Ric Flair now involved. Either trying to get Flair to turn on his daughter and be with like Lacey. I don't really know where they're going with
they
it.
did that already. Yeah,
I wonder if this is meant to elevate Lacey Evans.
To make her more potential, putting her with Flair, going with her to put her more like Charlotte, maybe trying to make her more like what Charlotte
I just
is.
don't know what the end game is in this.
I don't
They don't either.
They don't either.
That WWE special that they put out, I think last week or the week before, about Charlotte coming back, she said that this run is a little different, where now she's here to help, and that's kind of what I think is going to happen. You can't put any more titles on Charlotte right now, meaning women's championships, not the tag titles, but either Raw, SmackDown women's championships. They're not going to have her pass any sort of record right now until at least, towards the end of her career. So might as well utilize her the best way you can. Have her face Lacey. Let's build Lacey up. Have her face Peyton. Let's, build Peyton up. Charlotte is an essential tool right now. Even if she does win every match that she's in, she's going to get everybody over. That's just what she does.
She does. That's what
So look at this thing with Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans is going to be way over now. Look at her now opposed to like 3 weeks ago. She wasn't even on the show.
That's a good point. And I heard a while back that Lacey Evans, when she was kind of getting a push, and then I heard that, well, never mind then, and then they stopped pushing her. So it looks like they kind of reversed
she busted onto the scene and fought Becky right off the bat.
She did.
So with her, that's a good point. I would love, kind of backtracking here, but I would love for somehow Charlotte and Sonya to have a feud.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Sonya could own that feud. They'd beat the shit out of each other. It'd be a great.
You'd like see my perfect. It's like next week. I think we're going to try to do book our own WrestleMania for this year.
There we go.
Because we haven't done that yet this year.
I'm down.
So, but spoiler alert, my women's match would be Rhea Ripley winning the Women's Royal Rumble, Charlotte winning that belt sometime before Mania, and Ripley getting her revenge and taking the strap off Charlotte, which Rhea Ripley coming on Raw automatically elevates Raw.
Oh, yes.
Honestly, if Rhea Ripley went on Raw, I'm tuning in for 3 people: Bray, Drew, and Rhea. That's all I'm tuning in for now. No offense to Orton, but I've seen his shit for years now. Is he cool? And am I mad when he's on TV? No, like the Legend thing a couple weeks ago, that was hilarious. He's walking around roasting all of them.
Dude, real quick.
Yeah.
how hypocritical is Triple H to call out Randy Orton for being the Legend Killer when Triple H teamed with Randy Orton when Randy Orton
Exactly.
was the Legend Killer? Fuck off. But anyway.
Yeah, that was
I honestly didn't really enjoy that whole Triple H thing.
right.
Triple H had no right to do that. Like,
So
seriously.
I don't know. I hope that's where it goes. But to your point, I don't know if she'll get the strap again, but you could see probably a triple threat like Asuka, her, and Rhea, just
That's
to put off that tag team.
Mhm.
And then you don't have to put the strap on Charlotte. And then maybe Rhea does pin Charlotte because Asuka and Charlotte are the two that don't really take clean pins. I mean, even though Asuka ain't as hot as she was when she came from NXT, where she was undefeated, Charlotte beat her. I think she's lost 2 or 3 more times, like clean. But Asuka doesn't take many clean pinfalls either.
There's a reason why Charlotte is always involved in a WrestleMania match is because she can create those moments where either she's doing a backflip off the top rope or she's doing something crazy in the ring. You know, she brings those moments and she brings the star power to the match. I honestly think Rhea Ripley she's gonna debut in the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant, win it, go on to face Asuka, but Charlotte's gonna interject herself and we're gonna get a triple threat at Mania.
Mhm.
Maybe Rhea gets the revenge and pins Charlotte.
And
And
then,
that's Asuka getting a rematch because she never lost.
and then
That'd
you,
be good.
and
Be good
then
storytelling.
the night after Mania, Ripley's like, "This is my show now." Fucking Becky's music hits. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Nah,
Yeah.
I never lost this either. I'm back."
So is Becky on her way back?
Yes,
Yep.
she had her kid.
Yep, she's
Two
on-
words. SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
I mean,
Alright.
she's
Yeah.
on track. I mean, she
Mhm.
had her kid. Seth's away still, so that'll. I think Seth's back at Rumble as well.
Yeah, he is.
Seth can stay gone forever.
No, Seth is the best wrestler in the world.
The
He does
Messiah.
not need to
The
go
Messiah.
away.
His face is a douche. I hate Seth Rollins.
We're not talking about his looks.
His whole tag gimmick.
If he was a surprise entrant in the Rumble, could he win?
He could.
I mean,
I
he's
think
Roman
when he comes back,
him
when he
baby.
comes back, he's going to be a face. That I think for sure.
so. I want to ask you then, Joey, because when he left on his own terms, like as that Messiah.
Well, he fell on his knees and took the bro
took the
kick,
hit,
right?
He's been
He
gone.
did.
So when he comes back, will he still be the Messiah, or he be Seth Rollins, like a different?
I
character?
think an evolved version of both of those characters where he's going to be the Friday Night Savior, but he's going to be a face.
And generally, when the heel goes away for a while, they always come back as a face. So I mean, he'll get cheered no matter
Dude,
what.
I think at Rumble you hear fucking "Burn It Down" and he comes out
See,
just like a new merch, like
I
kind of
hate-
just hot
I-
off the handle
I
again.
hate to admit it because I'm not like I don't openly hate Seth Rollins, but he
Yes,
does
you
get,
were just pretty clear
he
you don't
gets
like
on my
him.
nerves, like his face. But the
His face.
but if I heard the Burn It Down, I'd probably get a little excited. I'm
Yeah,
oh,
like
shit.
that would be hot. Like
Yeah.
burn it
Get
down and
rid of
he's
the
back.
Messiah and bring back
And
the burn it
Seth
down.
and
yeah.
Roman would work.
Yeah, that could
Yeah.
work.
That's-
There's history
The history's
No.
there.
The top heel right now, who is the top babyface on SmackDown?
Rollins would be phenomenal as not. Did you mean as opponents?
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely
Yeah.
Mania.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
to Joey's
Yeah.
point, top 3 baby faces on SmackDown right now.
You don't have baby faces on SmackDown anymore.
Biggie.
you have people who might go
I
rogue.
think Big E
Yeah,
would be
SmackDown.
one.
Yep.
Big E would be one of the 3. KO. I don't know the third. Otis?
But even
Daniel
with-
Bryan.
Daniel
Because
Bryan.
Daniel Bryan
Bryan's
right now would be
babyface.
my pick to win the Rumble, but we still have a couple weeks to see how things play out on TV.
I still want to even consider Big E and especially Kevin Owens a babyface. I mean, I guess they do kind of play that role, but at the same time, they show a lot of aggression and kind of do heelish things.
That's what I'm saying about SmackDown.
Right.
They are at a lack of baby faces.
D-Bry
They
is definitely
Roman took over the whole division.
Yeah.
He did,
If
yeah.
you want to talk about heels, you have Corbin.
right.
I mean, I guess Shinsuke's on his turn to babyface. Maybe that's why Shinsuke's getting moved over to
Maybe.
babyface.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just need
They-
to fill that slot
They do.
because you do got
No one's as strong as Roman right now. That's the problem.
He's
yeah,
too-
Roman's
The
got a
only
whole,
one that can be is Seth.
and you could play
And
all.
it'd be very
Yeah.
believable too, and that history would be fun.
What happened to you? We were boys. Blah blah blah. You can play that whole storyline. What happened to you? You were Jesus a few months ago, and you can literally play that off.
And you know what? You can bring Seth back and say, listen, I went away, had a kid, I'm a changed man, related to a lot of other dads in the crowd or on the virtual crowd. And
And Reigns is a dad. He has a daughter that he talks about that's talked about a lot. So they could even bring your kids into it and
They
be like,
could.
my
Make
kid
it
maybe do
personal.
this. Well, my kid maybe do this. My kid made me be ahead of the
No,
table.
I can already tell you, Roman's gonna be like, I'm the reason your kid's eating.
yeah,
he's gonna mention that like he's
And
been
there you
doing with
go.
Kevin Owens
Yeah,
mentioned his
and
family.
it plays off. There's
Yep.
2 more things I want to hit from Raw. we'll save the fireball thing.
Oh,
The future main
That
event
was so
of WWE Great Balls of Fire. Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. But that's for, that's for a later
My
time.
favorite thing ever was when the lights shut off. The apparently the fire shuts off too.
Listen,
Anyway,
Wow.
Speaking of Fireface teamed up with Keith Lee this week. That's Sheamus.
Sheamus, yeah.
I thought Fireface was kind of funny.
That is
Riddle's
because
just so
his hair.
goofy. I like it. Sheamus and Keith Lee beat Miz and Morrison. They won. Keith Lee threw, I think, Morrison into the rope, and it broke.
The turnbuckle and everything.
The
came
turnbuckle
off.
just
Everything
exploded.
came off.
yeah, dude.
And then
Wow.
him and Sheamus fought each other.
That made no sense. Now again, I watched this
Yeah.
shit on Hulu.
Commercial break.
Right. So what happened? Because I was very confused.
I don't know. Went on commercial, and we
It's
came back and they were
confusing.
fighting. And
Yeah.
They
then
were hugging, and then commercial break, and then they were fighting.
So
Yeah.
we all saw the same thing. I didn't miss anything.
No.
I thought I missed something.
no, Hulu didn't cut you off.
It didn't.
All
That's
right.
what happened.
So I don't know what they're doing with Keith Lee. I like the fact he's winning and he's got a lot of momentum, it feels like right now.
Mhm.
Like, even with losing to Drew, he looked good. He looked good with Sheamus. They're making him look strong, hence the little turnbuckle exploding, little things Vince loves to do.
I heard that was real though. I heard that like, he legit broke it.
Morrison could sell, dude. I'd believe it.
Yeah.
If you look back and see the way Miz reacted, Miz immediately ran to Morrison and was like, "No." Like,
Right.
it could have been real. I'm not sure because even Keith Lee's face was like, "That just happened."
Exactly.
Their Twitter put up, "Oops," because Keith Lee was like,
That's the time I kind of when I watch things to see if does that look scripted or does it look legit. That's why I judge their faces, and that's why it'll look legit. Like hurt for a second. I was like, look at MVP's face. He looks like, oh shit, I kicked him too
Yeah.
hard. And same thing with that turnbuckle. Like their faces
Wow.
looked surprised.
Mhm.
So
"Where do you think this is going with Keith Lee and Sheamus?"
I don't. Well, I'd like to see a feud, but I don't really know what's going on with them. I don't know what they're doing with Keith. We know what Keith Lee's been up to, but with Sheamus, I don't really know what they're doing with them anymore.
He's the definition of a tweener.
Yeah.
That's I
Like,
really
he's
don't know
hugging
what they're-
Drew, then he's kicking Keith Lee in the face.
Yeah.
But
it's the same
I
story.
want to do that with more people because it's like it's unpredictable.
Mhm.
I want to see a best of 7.
With
Yeah.
those-
Yeah. It's been a long
and
time.
then tag team for 3 years
Yeah.
after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I already got the name. The bar.
You think about 2020.
Yeah,
Sheamus had one of the most underrated years, I think, of anybody in WWE in 2020. Look at the things he did in 2020. Like every match that he was a part of was a classic match.
Sheamus, I mean, he's always been that good. Like, I mean, he got the title from John Cena right away. He's always
Quick.
been there. Like, he's
I remember going to see me, Yvonne, my mom and dad went to a live event, and
Yeah.
he was in the dark match, which my dad made a joke like he's too bright to be in a dark match, and I was like, "That's
Yeah.
not that fun."
yeah.
Because he like he literally glows
He
from a
glows.
distance.
He
We were
glows.
kind of up in the Raptors a little bit,
Mhm.
and then 2 weeks later he beats John Cena.
I mean,
Well,
he's-
Cena fell through the table, but he won.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
rocket ship, and then it cools off, and then it picks up a little bit, then it goes back down. Then they did that whole terrible United Nations thing with him and
No,
Barrett
yeah,
and
it lost
Rusev, and
Yeah, that
they try
Oh,
all.
that was-
Yeah, and then he gets lost in the shuffle. Then he got hurt a few times,
Mhm.
and now he's kind of back. So I'm hoping they utilize him.
So why has Sheamus? Let's talk about that for a second. He's been there for the last decade.
He's a reliable worker
He's
too.
really, really good. He's had great. Always
He's
has.
confident.
So what's the disconnect that he can't be a long-lasting world champion?
I don't know.
You have to hit that green button. It plays the cricket sound.
I mean,
because
like-
that's where we're at.
we don't know.
I mean,
Doesn't make sense. Why isn't Cesaro world champion?
right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good point. I think with Cesaro's, the argument against Cesaro is he can't talk. And with being a great professional wrestler, it's not just your in-ring ability, it's also your showmanship, your talking ability, which I
Mhm.
lack, but I still do this for some reason. There's all kinds of things that you need to do. Sheamus can do all of that. He's on the mic all of the time. He changes his look a few times, trying to make it updated and work. His music changes here and there, well, I guess twice technically. But he has, in my opinion, his boxes are checked. So,
Yeah, he does.
So what's the disconnect that he can't go in there? Because he's believable to beat Roman Reigns. He's believable to beat Drew McIntyre.
Mhm.
So what's happening? Like, why is that not happening?
Honestly, I think it's his look. It's his
Yeah.
look. McMahon or Vince likes to have people who like fit this like profile of like the all-American, type of look. They did it with John Cena. No tattoos, clean cut. He, kids want to run up to him. Girls want to kiss him. Sheamus doesn't have that.
Sure.
So,
No tattoos, but he's got very, very white skin and very, very dark red
listen,
hair.
I'm called Baby Sheamus all the time. I get it all the time. It's Sheamus's younger brother, I get.
There you
go.
Hey,
I dig it.
could be cold words.
That could be way worse.
He tagged me in something earlier that he's like, hey, is this you? And I was like, dude, I hate you. But let's get to the main event because I want to elaborate on this a little bit. So we all know Triple H comes back. They drag this challenge on all night. I look at the clock. There's 7 minutes left on Raw. I was like, well, we're not getting a full-blown match. There's 7 minutes left.
Right.
Yvonne's like, well, they're about to fight. It's like, no ref. They're just fighting. Denise can't stand Lacey. I feel you, Denise. I can't stand her either. But, yeah, there we go. Goodbye, Lacey. So Alexa comes out. Well, somehow Triple H's sledgehammer catches on fire. And then Alexa shows up in the corner, blows a fireball at Randy.
Well, let's not get carried away. First of all, yeah, his sledgehammer caught on fire. That I believe. Bray Wyatt did it. That's magic. I get it. I did not like when the power slowly went off. And the power slowly went off. And then when the last power went off, historically, the lights go off, right? Because that's the power shutting off. But when the power shut off, his fire went off, which made no fucking sense. But anyway.
When the lights came back on, Triple H wasn't even there.
And then he disappeared.
Don't try to make it's still real to me, damn it. Don't try to make sense of it.
Like, I know I'm a nitpicky son of a bitch when it comes to that kind of stuff. But power going off does not turn off fire. And
This is WWE, not Halloween.
It annoys me more than Triple H disappearing. The fire going off annoys me more than Triple H. They should have like dropped the sledgehammer. That would have been cooler.
You're the same guy. All right, so as fantastic as Firefly Funhouse match was, he still goes, Bray shouldn't have pointed to the sign.
It was so dumb. No,
It's like you're the only one that remembers that he did.
It wasn't Bray Wyatt. It was the Fiend. The Fiend pointing to the WrestleMania
Don't be
sign.
specific with me. They're the same
It's
thing.
not. No, it's like Michael Myers like pointing.
It's not Halloween.
It's the same kind of thing. And character-wise, the Fiend.
The
pointing
Fiend
at
would
that
kill
sign,
Michael Myers.
No, the Fiend would have destroyed John Cena on that stage. Why is he pointing?
Randy Orton would set them all on fire.
That is true. Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about this at nauseum for a few weeks, and I'm actually surprised Bray's been the Fiend, I should say, has been on
Fiend,
TV for the last
Fiend.
couple weeks because I expected him back the next night, honestly,
Yeah.
especially with their ratings plummeting. I feel like he's like, to me, he's the must-see thing on the show, but I'm biased because that's my favorite wrestler right now. So what do you think's next for Bray? Do you think he comes back as the Fiend again? I thought it'd be cool if you brought him back in the Rumble as all three phases of himself. Like have the Firefly one come out, get eliminated. Have the old school Wyatt Bray come out, get eliminated. Then have some crazy recreation of the Fiend come out later, throw Orton out, and then lead to something else. So what do you project's going to happen there? Because apparently that feud's far from over.
I think bringing 3 versions of him into the Rumble and them all getting eliminated, in my mind, kind of buries his character.
Well, maybe the Fiend one just I don't see, because you're right. He wouldn't win the Rumble still because I wouldn't have the Fiend win because I wouldn't want him.
So maybe have the new Fiend come out and not join the Rumble, but just screw with Randy Orton.
Yeah, that's fair.
Take him out.
Make an appearance or something.
I want to see a more sadistic Fiend. I want to see a Fiend maybe with like half of his face like burned, like the mask burned, the other half like looking like, I don't know, just make it look more sadistic where it's literally terrifying. Because, losing to Goldberg and everything we've seen happen with the Fiend already, it's kind of humanized him a little bit in a sense.
Sure.
Where he's beatable. He's got a weakness, which is Alexa. How do we make him, back to being that sadistic, evil character? And I said when the whole thing happened with Orton lighting him on fire, how do you make the Fiend the most sadistic, like evil character in all of WWE? You have the most sadistic evil person there. Do something to him, which is Orton, because Orton's the most sadistic person in WWE. You have him brutalize the Fiend like you did, and have the Fiend come back from it. That's how you make the Fiend the top, like most evil person in WWE. So I think that's what we're gonna see. But I would have loved to see, like, instead of Triple H disappearing and Alexa's there, why not put like like what we saw with Paul Bearer at Survivor Series, where we see like a hologram of the Fiend, where Orton thinks he's seeing things or like he's there and he's not, and then that's Alexa. And you can do the same thing at the Rumble. He doesn't actually enter the Rumble, but he's like there.
That I would like that.
You save the spot in the Rumble for somebody else, but you also play into that whole thing with, Orton, or the lights go out and then the Rumble's happening, and Alexa's in the middle of the ring, and Orton doesn't know what to do, and he gets thrown out by somebody.
So we've talked. So like how WrestleMania plans, just like we talked about Rumble earlier, are normally set by now. Like we kind of we all read dirt sheets, we all get on Twitter, we all have watched wrestling for 20 years now. We typically know what the main events are going to be. We're sitting here like, is Goldberg going to win? We have no clue.
Yeah.
One guy
we're pretty sure Goldberg's going to win.
If he wins, we just don't know what plan it is, because there could be a plan we didn't even bring up that Goldberg wins and it's like, hey, I'm going after fucking Reigns. I'm sick of this dude, and then it just destroys everything, because that is a way they could go.
Title match between the two titles.
Yeah, boom, and Vince would.
Dude, my fear is it's going to be the two titles against each other. Goldberg versus Reigns, because that's what they want to do last year. So it's like, why is Goldberg fighting McIntyre? Oh, to do that. It makes me sad.
So you do McIntyre and Reigns, because they already had a story from Survivor Series that was never technically finished. So if you're going to do an undisputed title match, it has to be those two.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But as far as the Fiend character goes, I don't know what WrestleMania thing is in place for him, or based on what he's doing right now, he's just feuding with Orton. So my line of thinking would be Edge is due back anytime.
The Edge factor.
Yeah.
Edge and him just kind of have odds, because no, I'm kicking Orton's ass. No, he set me on fire, so I'm kicking his ass. And honestly, if I was booked, I don't want to give away too much of my stuff next week, but some kind of triple threat Firefly thing where he can take Edge and Orton down memory lane, back to the rated RKO days, back to when Edge was in the Brood, back to when Randy Orton was getting suspended for busting the drug policy. Like, the Firefly Funhouse take you back all those bad. The live sex celebration, which is funny, it's in the news here lately because Lita said on Twitch that Vince told her you're doing it, and then buried her or whatever afterwards. So what would you do with the Fiend at WrestleMania? Because obviously he's going to be a part of it.
Yeah. So let me backtrack a little bit, because you just mentioned Edge. I think at WrestleMania we're going to get Edge and AJ Styles. That I think is the match that everybody wants to see. I don't know how you get away from Edge and Orton so quickly, because we don't have that much time. So I don't know how you get away from that unless you do Edge and Orton again at Mania. But the Fiend, there's one name that comes to mind who I think would be a perfect opponent for the Fiend, and that would be Jeff Hardy as Willow, because he's wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no one else in the roster right now that I can say can put on like a cinematic type match other than Jeff Hardy.
You bring that up. We've kind of already have seen that with Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy a few years ago when he was in his other gimmick.
The deletion.
Bring back Willow and do a thing with Bray. And I'm like, if you're going to ever do anything with Willow or something near that kind of character from TNA, it has to be against Bray.
And they kind of hinted that too in their cinematic match, which they did before COVID. Jeff Hardy popped up for a second in that same makeup. So they've already kind of crossed paths.
And Jeff's pitched it a million times.
Yeah.
I saw it in tons of interviews that he's like, I want to do Willow versus Fiend. He's like, that's one thing I want to do, because they got pretty close when Bray was teaming with Matt. They got to know each other pretty well. But that would make sense. Yeah. I would love to. AJ versus Edge would be great. That's another guy. Like, what's AJ doing?
What is he doing?
That was when Edge came in the Rumble last year. AJ Styles is the guy we saw him spear because they cut Dolph Ziggler.
AJ got injured in that match. He got his shoulder from that move.
Yeah, right. Because AJ got legit hurt in that too.
Yep.
I know AJ's pitched Triple H and Edge.
I know AJ wanted
is what the reports
That's
are.
what AJ wants. Yeah.
So
I would be okay all day with Edge, and there's a backstory there with him hurting his shoulder last year.
And then the whole, but see it then what's Orton do?
Something else.
I mean, you don't drag the Fiend and Orton all the way to Mania, do you?
They could say.
I think the Mania is too far.
It's early April, so. But how long can they keep Edge off? I think he's already ready to go. Like maybe another month.
If he's ready to go, I would say that the money is
he was on Busted Open 2 months ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm about 3 or 4 weeks away."
Surprise entry number 2 in the Royal Rumble. He'll do it again, just like last year
with no fans. See that's
he can return in the Rumble, throw out Orton, and then we get the last of Orton and the Fiend at Elimination Chamber, and then Orton starts a feud again with Edge for Mania.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't want to see that. I think it's kind of done at this point. The greatest wrestling match ever should have been the last.
We're all over Edge and Orton.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so that'll be fun for next week. So next week, people watching, send us your WrestleMania cards as well. So we'll book like both title, US title, IC title, both all the everybody that watches wrestling knows what a WrestleMania card looks like. It's going to be like 15, 16 matches. We won't obviously go through everything. We use a lot of the ones that are similar. Tell us what you guys would like to see, because I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got different ideas, and like we've said multiple times, we have no idea what's going on right now.
No, we don't.
This is the one year that I don't know who's going to win the Rumble. I have no gut. Like the women's, we didn't even talk about. I think it's going to be Rhea. I could see Bianca winning it. I could see Bayley win it again, because her and Sasha, you could always revisit that.
Yep.
Charlotte, you can never count her out of anything.
Never
She
count her out
wins.
of it.
Woo. So
There's one name you're leaving out from that sentence. The ravishing Russian Lana.
oh god.
Oh, didn't she get married last year? Oh wait,
She's in there right now.
He's talking shit about the Lashley Lana thing, which I said was storyline of the year in 2020, but whatever.
That
Of course.
stupid.
It was fantastic.
Better not be Lana. No.
Dude, he's not wrong. She got hurt.
She
Was in the
Not
middle of,
her.
yeah.
yeah, she was in the middle of a
I hope
think a
it's not
push?
her. I hope not.
We don't. She's always in the middle of something, but nobody really knows what that is.
Like getting thrown in the 9-announce table.
She's beaten Asuka and she's beaten Shayna, and I don't know.
I
Just-
hope.
it makes for an interesting build
Yeah.
for WrestleMania. There's so much at
There
the
is.
Rumble that's
Yeah.
like
You
we
can't-
normally have an idea. I don't.
I
really.
don't either.
The only match I know that's rumored that it happened, and that like I think Riddle and Lashley are going to fight again. I think Riddle's going to go over, and Lashley, they're building him towards Brock.
Well,
I
listen,
think they'll go.
first one to declare he's entering the Rumble. That's a big statement. So it could be a sign, to the future that Lashley is getting some sort of push.
Yeah, they've been protecting him.
I don't think he needs the U.S. title, to be honest with you.
He doesn't. And we talk about it every week. He's been protected like hell for the last
He has.
3 or 4 months.
Yep.
Do you want to see a Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar match?
I think it's inevitable at this point. I don't know if I would be a fan of it, just because they're both very like stiff in the ring. It's not like as entertaining. It's like two just bulls going at it like this. Like, I don't know what you're gonna get from it.
The
But-
build is bigger than the match. Yeah.
And you also have to think too, who's the face and who's the heel? Is Bobby Lashley entertaining as a face? I don't think so.
I think Brock's coming back. I think they've squeezed all the heel out of Brock for now. And I thought when he left the last time he was going to come back as a face. And kind of like you said with the Roman thing, that's how you organically put him over as a face. He doesn't, and yeah, he can't talk.
And
He
Bobby,
doesn't have to. He can just kick people's ass that people don't like, and he's going to get cheered.
and Bobby Lashley.
Roman is with Paul, is with Heyman, is a automatic face turn for Lesnar, I think.
Yep.
That's
And we
fair.
talked about
Yep.
that after
Mhm.
last Mania when Brock left. We were like, what do you think's next? We were like, face. And they're like, how? It's like
Yep.
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul's the X Factor. Paul can turn you into whatever.
Well, think back to 2002 when Paul Heyman turned on Lesnar to be with Big Show,
Show.
cost him the championship.
Talk about somebody who turned heel and babyface a lot. The fucking Big Show. I
Big
heard.
Show.
I
Yeah.
heard when he was at Raw Legends, he turned heel and babyface 10 times backstage.
Wow.
That is rough.
Lucky we didn't see it happen.
Right.
I did watch his Christmas special, the Big Show show.
I did.
Special.
That's a
Yeah.
good show.
I found it on Netflix and I was like, is this new? And I was like, oh shit, it is, because they didn't renew it.
Yeah, they didn't remember to give us
This
a
is a
special.
good-
I watched it while running presents.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah.
Not canceled.
Right.
It-
Well, hey, Joey, we appreciate you so much for taking the time tonight, hanging out with RSH Wrestling. Again, real quick, one more time, where do we find your show, and what is your show all about?
Awesome. Like I said, the Angle Podcast. You can find me on Twitter's or all social media at The Angle Radio. I typically am more active on Twitter, so at The Angle Radio or theangleradio.com. You can find interviews and everything there. Yeah, like I said, interviews, podcasts, giving different perspective on wrestling. I like to have a bunch of different guests on to talk about wrestling, so it's like what we're doing right now. So again, I appreciate you guys for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
This
Yeah,
side
we
of the room,
appreciate
brother.
it.
Appreciate you. All right. So we have one last video to play, one last thing to plug, and
More.
that is we have so many live shows right here at whatthebuzz.com. So you can check them all out. We can tell you the names, or
I have like 4 of them.
you do.
You do.
Or you just watch this video and learn that way.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look with the top dish. Tie game through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, swish. Tell them that's what we ready for. Tell them that's what we ready for. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day. It's all hard work, but it's why what happens when we play 9 out of 10 times. I'ma left you with.
All right, so we are coming. That is war. But again, real quick, huge thanks to Joey from the Angle Podcast taking the time tonight. Go check him out. Follow his Twitter. Follow his show. It's amazing. And what else we got? Is that it?
Follow our show.
Oh, yeah.
our show.
I guess I should plug our show too.
Twitter, all of
Twitter
us,
handles
all of
right
us on
down there.
Twitter. Yep.
I don't care about my personal Twitter. Follow RSH Wrestling. Nobody gives a shit what I say. Follow at WTB.com, DOTCOM, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What else is there?
I think that's
Those
it.
the main
Thank you,
3 still.
covered
I think that's all we got.
Did I get it?
Follow the Buzz, Paranormal Activities.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I just released an episode. Hey, do you need to sage your home? We'll tell you how. Check out the last episode.
Yep.
I'm going to do the boardroom Saturday.
Special edition, right?
Yeah, 2:00.
Hell yeah.
James Harden got traded. I'm going to tell you who won and who lost. And then I'm going to predict the football games a couple hours before they kick off. First game's at 4:30, shows at 2.
Cool.
So we're going to do that. Me and my buddy Nick. We're going to do it in studio, both of us kind of
Oh,
thing, and see if the new
yeah.
layout works for 2 people.
I dig it.
So it's going to be kind of a debate thing.
We've
Because,
done an RSH in your house once, in your apartment once. I was audio.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so this is my whole new layout. So I'm slightly paranoid, but we'll see what happens.
You'll be all right.
Yep.
We've already talked about it. We've been arguing for 3 days. So we're ready to go.
Let's go.
You'll be
And
all right.
do marital nonsense tomorrow too.
Yeah, marital nonsense
yeah.
and Between the Pipes with Archie,
Yeah.
where hockey's back.
Hell yeah.
So they're all
Hockey's back,
excited
yep.
about that up in Canada.
And tomorrow on Marital Nonsense, we actually are having another podcast similar to tonight joining the show. They'll be in studio as well. So
Uh-oh. More
Uh-oh.
couples.
they are not a married couple, actually, but they have a new podcast and it's fun. So it's going to be a good time.
All right.
So
All right.
tune
A
in.
lot of stuff to look forward to tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys, hope you all enjoyed the show. Again, check out the Angle Podcast. And at the end of the day, when all is said and done, you can watch all the shows you want to watch. You can buy all the Manscaped products at manscaped.com, RSH 2020, promo code 20% off. But all of that's over. All of that is said and done. And at the end of the day, you will all fear regularly scheduled hostilities.